Welcome back to the Funding Blueprint, the show where we go beyond the headlines and into the real strategies that help startups grow smarter, scale faster, and stay true to their mission. Today's episode features someone who's built one of the most beloved and delightfully punful consumer brands on the internet, Colin McIntosh, the founder of Sheets Giggles. If you've seen their eucalyptus sheets featured on Good Morning America or read about their best overall win in Good Housekeeping, you know S&G isn't your average DTC betting company. But behind the clever branding is a serious business story, one that started with a $284,000 Indiegogo campaign and grew into a multi-million-dollar sustainability-first business that shipped hundreds of thousands of units and donated over $100,000 to charity along the way. In this conversation, we'll explore how Colin bootstrapped and scaled Sheets Giggles in a saturated category, what it actually takes to build a memorable brand from day one, and the unfiltered truths behind crowdfunding, PR wins, customer acquisition, and channel strategy in the DTC world. Plus, we'll touch on his newer ventures, from launching an AI-powered resume builder used by millions to starting and selling a composting business with his wife. Whether you're a founder looking to break through the noise or a brand builder curious about standing out with mission and personality, this one is packed with gems. So let's get into it. Colin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Cece. I appreciate it. I like how you know it'll be packed with gems before we even get started.
I know it's going to be. Alrighty, we're excited to have you, so let's just jump right into it. You launched Sheets Giggles with a $284,000 Indiegogo campaign. Crowdfunding is a tempting option for many early-stage founders, but few can pull it off very well. So what were some of the key elements that made your campaign successful?
It's a good question. There's two or three things that really stand out. Number one is the preparation. So a lot of people, when they do crowdfunding, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever it might be, they think that their friends and family are going to give them thousands and thousands of dollars. But it's just not true. Your family doesn't love you that much, and your friends don't think about you that much. At least not enough to give you hundreds of dollars each. At 100% conversion rate. And so it's funny, I've heard people be like, I've got like 1,000 followers. Like, if they all give me like $100, I'm like, okay, it's not, you're probably four of your followers will give you $100. Like, so, preparation in this case means, starting from your goal and working backwards. So let's say you want to make $100,000 and you have $100 AOV. That means that you need 1,000 customers. And in any given crowdfunding campaign, you want to get at least 30% of your total revenue on day one. So that's 300 customers on day one. And if you want 300 customers on day one, it's all going to come from your email list. There is no other source of traffic that you can get that is going to convert like an email list. And an email list generally converts at about 3%, 2% if you're doing something wrong, 4% if you're doing something right. And so if you need 300 customers on day one, you need 10,000 emails in order to get 300 customers at
Yeah.
3% conversion rate. So then your blinders should go on and you should just say, okay, I'm going to go spend 8 to 10 weeks gathering 10,000 emails and I will guarantee myself success. And that's exactly what we did. We built landing pages, we did photography, we wrote our copy, we said, hey, this is going to be the best sheets you'll ever get. Lock in for the best price we'll ever offer on them, $69. I thought that was a funny price point. And I was 27 when I launched the company. I still think it's a funny price point, but it was funnier then. And we gathered 11,000 emails. We spent about $9,000 on marketing. So we were running ads on Facebook, on Instagram, sending people to our landing pages. They were converting their emails at a really awesome, like 38% clip. That was kind of when I knew I had something there, is when people were willingly giving us their email, more than 1 in 3 visitors. And then we shut the hose off at 11,000 emails. I said, okay, that's my budget. I had $10,000 budgeted for this. And then we launched on day one and we converted at 4.5%, $100 AOV, just like I thought, 1.5 units per person. And then that ended up being $45,000 on day one, which snowballed into a $284,000 30-day campaign.
That's great.
So that's the 3 minutes on how to do a successful crowdfunding campaign.
That's awesome. Would you do anything differently today if you were launching a product today?
Oh, everything. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do anything differently from the broad strokes of like how to do crowdfunding. That math still is very accurate.
Yeah.
And I would talk to the platforms, Indiegogo, Kickstarter. I would ask them what dedicated support they can give me. I would pitch them on the product idea. I would say I'm evaluating both platforms. Happy to sign an exclusivity deal with you if you give me maybe a newsletter or something else that can help. But that's all the same. That's all exactly what I did. What I would maybe do differently is, first off, AI makes everything cheaper. We spent, and I think that some of this you can use AI for, and some of it you can't.
Yeah.
If you want a really good lightning in a bottle brand, you have to use real people in your lifestyle photos. I just don't think that you can launch a really differentiated brand voice with AI images and video. Um, but we spent $500 on our initial photo shoot. That was a friend of mine gave me a sweetheart deal. And then we spent $3,000 on a video. Also, a colleague of mine gave me a sweetheart deal on that's a very cheap, video. Even with friends as actors, and me as the main spokesman, it was still expensive. And so that can all be trimmed down a lot. People who have blank page problems can use AI to like get themselves started on writing. You can do a lot more price testing, so you don't have to just like pick your price and stick to it. You can use tools like IntelliGems to do A, B, C, D, E type price testing and understand what the actual price elasticity of your market is and what your audience is. What else would I do differently? Customer care. I used to answer the phone 24 hours a day. Now I can have a 24/7 AI chatbot on the website that can answer any question about the brand. So there's a lot of things I would do differently, and I think that right now is a golden era for solopreneurs and what they can accomplish with AI. I mean, I had to build my own websites. Yes, they were landing page generators, but I had to plug and play and try this and that and change the positioning here. Now you can just go on Lovable and launch a website in 30 seconds. Build me an e-commerce website for bed sheets. Boom, and it will just make you a beautiful website. It's unbelievable. So and that's $25 a month for unlimited web like, and the tools like that were not available to me, and I wish they were.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of shifting a little bit here. Standing out in DTC, especially in a crowded market like bedding, is no small feat. So, what were some of the earliest brand or channel decisions that you made that helped Sheets and Giggles break through that noise?
I think one of the main decisions I made that I communicated to everybody who was working on this project with me was if it's been done before, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So if, white sheets on a white wall with French press coffee and exposed brick and ferns and like people doing acro yoga in bed, I just despised that stuff. I thought it was so condescending and like it was like aspirationally condescending. Like, don't you want to like live in a 400 square foot New York City exposed brick apartment with like your, nebulously like, ambiguously racial boyfriend? Like, sorry, that's maybe else. All those ads are so weird. Like, they're so like specific in terms of like how they think everybody wants to live. And so I really wanted to, like have a brand voice that like broke through the noise and was like visually striking. And so one of the first ads we did, I think, was me in bed with my two guy friends, Dan and Tony. And we were, we had avocado face masks on and we were drinking wine and we were just yucking it up. And that went pretty viral. That like got, I think, like 10,000 shares on Facebook back when that meant something in 2018. And people were commenting everything from like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen to, you guys are going to hell. And I was like, for exfoliating? Like, I don't know what the issue is here. Can you explain it? Can you explain it to me? And so we had a lot of fun, like going back and forth with people in the comments. Other decisions I made was that like I was going to answer every social media comment myself. I was really cognizant that the brand had a very unique voice. It was a jester rebel archetype, kind of a combo. And I really wanted to make sure that that jester brand voice came through in every interaction with people, but that it was not try hard but smart, and that it wasn't corny but funny, and that it was never saccharine but it was sweet, and it was, you know, sarcastic but not biting. And so there were these guardrails I had set up for myself to follow, where, you know, I had to always keep it positive, but, you know, sarcasm can be an effective tool as well to like clap back at people and comedically. And so yeah, I think that the early brand voice and just the commitment to the bit was really high. We had a model of ours, Virginia, in our first photo shoot. I brought a circle saw into the bedroom, and she sawed a 2x4 in half while her husband Anthony slept on the bed. And the bit was about sawing logs, right? Snoring.
Yeah.
And you know, like how many people are gonna get that joke? Like 50? I don't know. But it was so funny to those people who got it, like
Yeah.
visually, like in that I like jokes that are not for everyone, but for the people who they are for, just are total bullseyes.
Yeah. I love that. So, kind of touching a little bit more on blending that humor with sustainability in a way that really resonates with that certain audience. How do you approach balancing a fun and irreverent voice with a serious mission?
It's a tightrope. I've I think there's a lot of like negativity in the world. I think rightly so. I think we're living in like a really boring dystopia. But like boring in the sense of like it's a very evil, banal dystopia. It's not Mad Max, right? But we're like always bombarded by bad news, like constantly, and we're all addicted to it. We all have our phones within arm's reach at all points in time, and you absorb more bad news in a day than like people used to absorb in like a decade. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
and and so, um, for me, like, I thought there was a lot of negative climate change news out there, and deservedly so, again. But I just think that the people who have already been reached by that are probably exhausted by it. And so I kind of made the decision early on that everything that we did was going to be positive and uplifting, good news, you know, never bad news. There's plenty of people who already deliver bad news. We don't need to be just another source fighting for those same eyeballs. And so, yeah, I mean, everything's about the donations that we do, the trees we plant, the water we save, the insecticides we save. You know, our product is way more sustainably made than cotton or polyester. There's no oil-based synthetics, no microplastics, no petrochemicals. Um, I did the math one time. The average polyester sheet set leaches 10 million microplastic fibers into our waterways every wash. And they just did this new study on cadavers where they liquefied like thousands of cadaver brains, and the average cadaver brain had a 7 grams of microplastic in it, which is the size of a plastic spoon worth of microplastic in your brain by the time you die. And dementia patients have 10 times that concentration. So we're going to learn that microplastics is like the lead in our pipes of our times, right? Giving us everything from cancer to dementia to Alzheimer's. That's going to be very commonly known in the future. I think it's obvious, right? You're leaching oil into your bloodstream.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what plastic's made out of. And so for me, like that positivity of like, hey, you can sleep on something that's not plastic. You can sleep on this eucalyptus lyocell, this incredibly sustainable material. Get a better night's sleep, not sweat through your sheets, like not have like more of an anti-wrinkle, smoother pillowcase, not pull your hair. And you know, you can have this really amazing fabric that also is not going to kill you slowly.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's like it's fun to have that comedic rhythm to the news that you're giving people about like I think we had memes about like existential dread and all the thoughts that we had before we go to sleep at night. And,
Yeah.
um, you know, you try to keep it light. And so a lot of SpongeBob memes mixed in with the sustainability.
I love that. What advice would you give founders trying to build that personality driven brand without losing credibility?
Just be authentic. People, I said this 10 years ago and I say it now. People have a tremendous bullshit monitor. And I think, well, with one notable exception that I will not go into. But I think that people have a really, sorry, you know what? Actually, that's not true. Even that exception, which is in a very fancy house these days, um, is authentic. And I think awfully authentic in that particular case. But people are able to sense authenticity when they listen to people. And they would rather work with someone or vote for someone that they know is being authentic, even if it's awfully authentic, versus someone they think is insincere. So my advice to founders is just be sincere, be yourself, be authentic. It's a blessing. Like you don't like people hate commuting not because of the traffic. They hate commuting because they're becoming someone else and slowly lowering a mask for 8 hours. And then when they go home, nobody hates the commute home because they're lifting that mask and they're becoming themselves again when they get home. And as a startup founder, you have a beautiful gift that you've given to yourself where you don't have to lower that mask. You can just be yourself all the time. And the brand should also be the best version of yourself. And so I think that's what I would tell people is like, make sure the brand is your voice because it's kind of impossible for the brand to be anything else. No one else is going to be able to bring life to your brand like you are as the founder. And so like I could never do a brand that's like a, a caregiver brand or like a um uh, maybe I'm discrediting myself a little bit, but like it'd be really hard for me to do maybe a caregiver or a romantic or an inventor, just because it feels like a little inauthentic to myself. Like I am romantic, like like my wife. I don't know. Sometimes she thinks so, sometimes she doesn't. But like to me, it's just like I am a jester. Like I don't take life seriously. My atoms are in this form for like 80 years and then I'm gonna go be rocks and water and air again. And so I don't really want to take this existence super seriously. And I just put that into the brand with everything I had where it's like it's not that serious. It's bed sheets. If somebody gets upset, wants a refund, whatever, take it. It's not, we're not curing cancer. We're not firing rockets into the sky. We're just selling bed sheets. And I think that that type of like authentic vibe for the brand has really served us well over the years, where people are just really happy to do business with someone they feel is authentic and genuine. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love that
yeah,
mindset.
you get know who you are. Yeah, are you a sage? Are
Great.
you a hero? You know, yeah.
Kind of shifting a little bit again here. So Sheets and Giggles saw 1 million plus dollars in monthly sales just 2 years in. That kind of growth requires more than just luck. What were the levers you pulled from acquisition to retention that helped you scale quickly and profitably in the early days?
I was very neurotic in the early days with a type of energy that, like, I think only a 27-year-old with undiagnosed ADHD can have. And like, I don't really glorify hustle culture. I think it's toxic. And I really dislike people who like push that upon others. But I will say that, like, in the early going of a startup, um, I didn't have a wife, I didn't have kids, I still don't, I didn't have a house, I didn't have a mortgage. I had very little responsibility, and so for me to go all in and wake up at 7 a.m., take pre-workout, like probably self-medicating with caffeine, like working till 2 or 3, 4 in the morning, sleeping for 3 or 4 hours, waking up, doing it again. Um, that I got so much done in such a short period of time, it was insane. Answering the phone at 2 in the morning and people called the hotline that, we had it was 888-67 sheet. And the only reason it was 67 sheet was because they wouldn't sell me 69 sheet. um, which is a true story. And it really bummed me out. But again, I was a child. I'm still a child, but I'm a 35-year-old child now. But and so I would wake up, I'd pick up the phone. I figured if somebody was calling a bed sheets company at 2 in the morning, it was an emergency, or they were Hawaiian. And I would talk to them for sometimes an hour. I would talk to people, and people are lonely. People want to feel heard, and like that connection I built with people on a one-to-one basis as the founder, I think was the most special thing that I did, where I answered every comment myself on social media. I mean, literally tens of thousands of comments I took the time to answer myself. I was very flattered that people wanted to know more about my silly bed sheet idea. I answered every phone call myself for years. I answered many emails myself. I would jump in as the founder in the customer care inbox and take care of people. If people couldn't afford our sheets, I would send them a free set on the house. And people would become the greatest brand ambassadors when I did that for them. They would tell everyone about this generous guy who sent them and their kids a free set of sheets. Um, and then, just like I think that the world is pretty karmic, like what you put into it definitely comes back to you in spades. So, I think on the way to our first $1 million sales month, I think that we were doing about $200,000 a month at early in 2020, to 250 maybe. And the pandemic hit. And I basically, all my friends were doing something. My friends who own AI startups or B2B startups, they had all these cool, visualizations of the spread and like the trackers. And I was like, damn, I just have a bed sheets company. Like I can't do anything. And I was like, but my company makes money. So I can donate money. And so I pledged 20% of sales. I said none of that Kim Kardashian 1% of profits bullshit. We're doing 1%. Imagine that. Imagine 1% of profits. First off, you can zero out profits, so they never donate anything anyway. Not only that, 1% of profit, like of all the money that flows into your bank account, you're like, thank you. I made $1 million. I will donate $10,000 to the public. It's really like gross. And so we pledged 20% of our sales top line for 30 days. We made, I think, $200,000 over those 30 days. And I wrote a check to the Colorado Emergency COVID Fund for small business relief for 40 grand. And I got a call from the governor's office like a week later, and they were like, "Hey, did you mean to do this? Because like we had like the Broncos donated 50 grand, like Comcast donated 50 grand, and then like Sheets and Giggles donated like 40 grand. Was that like what? Did you add a zero?" And I was like, "No, we made this pledge, and I'm gonna follow through on it," and we did. And that ended up catching wind over at Amazon, who loved the story and the donation. Their PR people are like mad geniuses. And they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we'd love to talk about you at Amazon Accelerate this summer on stage about yes, how you're helping the community." I said, "Sure." They named us as one of six small businesses helping during the pandemic. Um, Yada yada yada. I get a phone call in October. It's Good Morning America, and they say, "Hey, we heard about this donation story. We'd love for you to be our small business spotlight in November on Black Friday." I said yes. That ended up being, a really incredibly valuable earned media segment. They sent a film crew out to my house in Colorado. And then in January, we did an on-air deal with them that I think generated like over $500,000 in a day. It was crazy. Um, and yeah, so stuff like that has been um, really cool to see, like just what comes back to you. And you have to put up with a lot of naysayers. I mean, like I definitely had to fight people who on my team, and then my advisors who said it was too much to donate and I shouldn't do it and no one will remember, no one will care. And I was like, no, like it's cool. And so yeah, that's I don't know if that answers your question
No, definitely.
tactically, but like those are some big things that like stand out to me when I think back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we advertised on Facebook and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's and in the meantime we were spending money on ads. So
yeah.
which everybody can do, but
I love it. Shifting completely now, you're now building and scaling an AI powered resume tool, and it's already being
yes.
used by millions. So, what have you learned from transitioning from physical product to a digital tool? And what are some lessons founders should keep in mind when moving between DTC and software as a service or other business models?
First off, software is so much easier than than physical
Yeah.
goods. Like I would recommend that anyone who's like, I have a great idea for like a new sneaker to just like go bang your head against the wall for like a day instead, and you'll get the full experience of being an ecom founder. I like am so grateful for this passion project. And it's, sheetsresume.com. for anyone who's listening. I'm the sheets guy. Like I'm, the My Pillow guy, for better and for worse. I am who I am, and people on the internet call me the sheets guy, so I'm sticking with it. My podcast is called Sheet Talk for anyone who wants to listen. And so it's sheetsresume.com. So stupid name. But I get to tell the story about kind of who I am, my background, like why I do what I do. I used to be a recruiter. Again, it's a very authentic brand. Like I don't do this for my mortgage payment. I do this to help you. I will give it to you for free. If you cannot afford it, please email me and I will give you access. And it's just been so wonderful to see the response. We just broke in yesterday to the first page of Google for like AI resume builder, and our sales doubled like overnight. And so it's a dogfight, that SEO, to get there. And doing all this maybe 5 or 10 hours a week, putting in on the side here. Um, but it's like a very fun project. I think that that's something I've learned is that the Sheets and Giggles is fun. Don't get me wrong; it's a blast. Um, but like it was never a mission driven organization for me at its core, which sounds weird because like we've planted tens of thousands of trees, we've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars in charity, we've given away at this point well over 1,000 sheet sets to homeless shelters and other places. Uh, in the product sustainable, like all the values that I have are in the brand and in the product. But like to me, Sheets and Giggles was always like a vehicle for me to run my own business, have my own company, have my own stability and my own thing. And I wasn't obsessed with like sleeping for like specifically, and now I am. I'm 35, I got a herniated disc. Now I'm incredibly obsessed with sleeping. I think about it all day when I'm awake and I can't wait to go to bed at night. But when I was younger, it was like this is a fun idea and I'm gonna go pursue this fun idea. Now that I have the resume biz, um, it has been transformative for me in terms of like the way I look forward to my work is I'm very tuned into like how I'm helping people because I now with bed sheets it's actually maybe I'm selling myself short in a weird way, which is now I'm the most humble guy I know. Like maybe I'm like I get these emails from people on the bed sheet side that's like you changed my life. I have eczema, I have contact dermatitis, hyperhidrosis, even people with multiple sclerosis or ALS, like menopause, pregnant women who can't sleep, they overheat or they can't get comfortable, and our sheets have changed their lives. And I know what sleep deprivation is like with my disc. And so I know how impactful that is. And so maybe I just don't give that enough credit. Um, but hearing about how like literally like got somebody a $50,000 raise or like changed their career trajectory or they've been out of work for 6 or 12 months or 18 months and they got a job within 3 weeks of using my service. Like that type of stuff has so many ripple effects for like generations that I really am grateful. So I've learned a lot. I think software is a lot easier. You can make mistakes and change them very fast with physical goods, with packaging, with it's it can be one mistake can be very costly. One time we printed 10,000 boxes with totally reversed wording. Uh, so I'm a big fan of like taking what you learn as an ecom founder and if you can apply it to other things, it can be very rewarding. And like I said earlier, there are so many tools now for solopreneurs and side projects that like I highly recommend finding 5 or 10 hours a week. And the cool thing is you learn new things with the passion project that you can then apply to your bigger like core business because there's inertia over here and there's like okay, we have certain agencies, certain affiliates, but with the resume business, it's just me. So I can just do what I want and try things, waste $1,000, waste some money here, goof up here. And then I can take what I learn and bring it into the fold over here without needing to distract my team or my goals or what I'm doing or kill one contract and start up another. I can actually learn on the side. And that's been really fun is like learning on the side.
Absolutely. So you've obviously worn a lot of hats. So, kind of diving into that a little bit more, how do you evaluate whether something has that real business potential or is just more of that like fun, solopreneur side project?
That's a good question. I part of it is intuitive. Like if something is bothering you and something is really a problem that you need solved, so other people have that problem, and that's kind of an old startup adage. Um, and so, I used to be a recruiter. I saw so many people struggle with and I've been doing resume reviews for years for people for fun on the side, when I have time. And I've seen so many people what is a good resume? Why? Like, why is it, like this? Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't they read it? Why are they only skimming it? Why is 2 pages bad? Why should I bold this and not this and italicize this and not this? And like, why are my bullet points poorly written? And it's just like, you can do so much with a resume that is so wrong. And people don't even know that they're not getting read. They're sending out 500 applications and they're getting 2 responses. And they're like, what's wrong with me? I'm a great, and it's so personal and emotional. Um, and so uh, that's been, sorry, and I'm literally blanking out on the question now, the overarching question.
It was like, how do you evaluate whether you
Oh
want?
yeah, yeah. So that's to me is like very obviously like
Yeah.
something that like a lot of people just don't know. And the same with like my wife and I when we started a compost business in Colorado. We got sick of paying our compost provider $40 a month to pick up our food waste. It's $500 a year.
Yeah.
And so we started a company called Dirt Cheap Compost. Sure enough, there were lots of people in Colorado who wanted to get their food waste picked up and diverted from landfills, but didn't want to pay half a grand to do it every year. And so we did it. We started at, $19, then we ended up raising it to like 20, 24, 25. We got like 100 customers really fast. Then we ended up selling that customer base to a larger company when we moved out of Colorado earlier this year to be closer to my family. And so that was a really fun experience and like again validating. So yeah, a lot of this is intuitive. And then, but I would say like the best way to validate is to try to sell it before it's built. Um, like in the resume business case, I had millions of people already using my template. So I
Mhm.
knew I had validated that that free
Yeah.
template was in super high demand. And I gave that away for years for free to millions of people all over the world. And it built up this reputation, it built up an SEO base, it built up this trust in me as a person they can go to for good advice. And then it validated the idea with me that if I put, a builder around this and a technology experience around this and an AI cover letter writer and a mock interviewer, job matching, then this would really solve a lot of the problems for these people who already trusted me. Um, and with Sheets and Giggles, I mean, crowdfunding, we sold $300,000 before we ever made a single unit.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things you can do to validate your product idea before you ship it, but you should really try to sell something before you build it. And that can be as simple as making a Reddit post on a related subreddit and saying,
Mhm.
hey, I'm thinking about building this thing. What do you guys think? What ideas would you give me? What features would you want to see? And then 2 months later, when you build the thing with their advice, you can go back to the subreddit and say, hey, I took all your advice and I built this thing and check it out. And they'll be stoked. They'll be like, hey, hell yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking our advice. So yeah, there's a lot of ways you can validate.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, that's a wrap on today's episode with Colin McIntosh, founder of Sheets and Giggles and one of the most creative, candid, and mission driven entrepreneurs out there. We covered a lot today, from how he turned a clever Indiegogo campaign into a thriving DTC business, to building a memorable brand with real sustainability chops, to launching new ventures like Sheets Resume and a local composting company with his wife. Colin's story is a reminder that there's no one blueprint for success, but when you combine strong values, smart execution, and a healthy dose of humor, you can build something both impactful and fun. So a huge thank you to you, Colin, for sharing your playbook so generously and keeping it real for every step of the way. If you want to check out his work, head over to sheetsgiggles.com or sheetsgiggles.com and experience the eucalyptus sheet hype for yourself. And if you're job hunting or want to level up your resume, don't miss sheetsresume.com his AI-powered resume tool used by millions, and his podcast, Sheet Talk, as well. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the Funding Blueprint, leave us a review, and share it with a fellow founder or builder. We've got more conversations coming your way, so stay tuned, and thank you again for listening.
Thanks, EC.